Have you ever felt suffocated in your own relationship, abandoned in an eerie silence, with no explanation, no way out? This is the silent treatment, a secret weapon used by narcissists to manipulate and control you. But why silence? What is the true purpose behind this cold, silent wall? And more importantly, how can you escape this toxic psychological game? Join me as we uncover the mystery of the silent treatment, understand its devastating impact on the victim's psyche, and arm yourself with the weapons to resist. Narcissists use silence to manipulate you. Narcissists are masters at controlling others through silence. They don't talk, don't explain, and simply vanish from the conversation, leaving you drowning in a sea of mixed emotions. Their goal? To make you question yourself, blame yourself, and eventually beg for their attention. The more silent they are, the tighter their grip on you. The more confused you are, the more powerful they feel. They take pleasure in watching you struggle in the fog of uncertainty, insecurity, and desperation as you seek answers from the very person who created the questions. Don't try to understand the reasons behind their silence, because quite simply, there are none. They are silent because they want to be, to punish you, to make you afraid. To them, silence is a powerful weapon to manipulate, control, and trample on your self-esteem. This silence is a reflection of an inner world riddled with unhealed wounds, a distorted ego perpetually craving attention and admiration. They are silent not because of you, but because of themselves. They refuse to communicate not because you did something wrong, but to provoke the reactions they seek in you: anxiety, despair, pleading. Every plea you make is a dose of validation for their distorted ego, affirming the illusory dominance and power they so desperately crave. How should you respond to this manipulative silence? First, don't apologize or show that you're eager to understand why they are silent. Our natural psychological reaction is often to want to reconcile quickly when someone stops talking to us, even if it means apologizing for something we think we did wrong. However, apologizing to a narcissist only inflates their ego and reinforces the idea that silent treatment is an effective tool for control, ensuring they will use it against you again in the future. Second, don't retaliate by giving them the same manipulative silence they've used on you. If you do, you will lose. You can't win at a game where the narcissist is a master of manipulation. The more you try to resist them, the deeper they will drag you into their trap. Instead, ignore them and understand that silence is not a weapon to cause pain, but a means to free your own soul. It is not a tool for punishment, nor is it a game for manipulation or control. Silence, when wielded with intent and self-awareness, is a path to liberation, not a method to harm others. Narcissists believe silence will make you crave them more. Narcissists understand the power of emotional contrast, taking you to the heights of happiness only to abruptly cast you into the depths of cold, unyielding silence. At first, they immerse you in a storm of attention, sweet compliments, and romantic gestures, making you feel as though you're living in a fairy tale. The exhilaration, joy, and connection they create flood your brain with dopamine, the happiness chemical that leaves you feeling deeply satisfied. But then, like a chilling wind, they suddenly vanish. This unexpected silence hits like an emotional slap, leaving you confused, disoriented, and in pain. In these moments, they might disappear without any explanation, leaving you trapped in a maze of unanswered questions. Then, just as abruptly, they return, acting as though nothing happened, with a smile and warm words. You scramble for reasons to justify their mysterious absence. Were they going through something difficult? Were they too busy with work? But the truth is, they are manipulating you with a calculated push-pull tactic. They treat love like a gift they can bestow or withhold, forcing you to chase after scraps of attention and warmth. They know how to turn their silence into a tool to control you. Your body remains in a state of constant stress, flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. You feel lost and anxious, longing for a word, a message, any sign that they are still present. You begin to obsessively check your phone, search emails, and hope for even the smallest sign of their concern to ease your anxiety. But their silence drags on, and the longer it lasts, the deeper you sink into a spiral of self-doubt and despair. Their silence isn't a disappearance, it's a way to control you without saying a word. Every moment you wait, every attempt to contact them strengthens their hold over you. They turn you into a puppet in their twisted psychological game, a game with no end. They break you down, make you beg for their attention, until you lose your sense of self-worth, forget who you are, and sink further into the hopeless cycle of unfulfilled longing. Narcissists use silence to mask their lack of emotional control. This loss of control stems from their inability to regulate their emotions in a healthy and mature way. Instead of facing emotions with calm and constructive conversation, they resort to extreme reactions, either explosive outbursts or punishing silence. When confronted with dissatisfaction, hurt, or disappointment, they cannot process their emotions in a normal way. Instead, they suppress all feelings. This silence isn't a sign of calm or reflection, it's a method of imposing stress on others, similar to the tension created by a fit of rage. This behavior creates a punishing atmosphere in the relationship. Those close to narcissists often feel abandoned, unheard, and subjected to immense psychological pressure. What's noteworthy is that whether through prolonged silence or outbursts of anger, the narcissist's emotions are never expressed appropriately. They don't communicate to solve problems, but rather use extreme behaviors to control the situation or the other person. Through the silent treatment, narcissists turn their lack of emotional control into a manipulative tool. They make others feel punished, creating a state of tension akin to facing a storm of anger. This not only damages the relationship, but also leaves the other person feeling drained, powerless, and trapped in a vortex of toxic emotions. Narcissists use silence as a tool to control you. They prolong silence as a way to avoid taking responsibility, especially when it comes to offering an apology. Instead of admitting fault, they choose to ignore you, creating a tense atmosphere that forces you to back down or take steps to fix the relationship, even if you did nothing wrong. Furthermore, they use silence as a form of emotional punishment. They want you to feel anxious, guilty, and unstable, compelling you to act according to their wishes. This might mean giving an unwarranted apology, making an emotional concession, or fulfilling a demand they have. Silence becomes a powerful weapon they wield to control you without uttering a single word. To deal with a narcissist, you must set boundaries. Boundaries are the solid shield that protects you from negative energy and external manipulation. More importantly, they serve as the bridge to a new life where you are free to live according to your own values and principles. Set boundaries clearly and assertively, leaving no room for ambiguity. Communicate them firmly. Boundaries are not compromises. They are declarations of what you will and will not accept in your life. Don't hesitate to enforce boundaries with clear consequences if they are violated. This not only reinforces their importance, but also sends a strong message that you will not tolerate any disrespect. Remember, you deserve to be treated with the respect and dignity you afford yourself. Anyone who doesn't respect your boundaries doesn't deserve a place in your life. Don't let guilt or fear of loss prevent you from protecting your rights. Through their behavior, they have chosen these boundaries, not you. Boundaries are not acts of punishment, but expressions of self-love and respect. Silence, a sign of immaturity and poor communication skills. When a narcissist uses the silent treatment, it's not a sign of calmness or thoughtfulness, but a clear display of emotional immaturity and a lack of communication skills. Like a child holding their breath to get what they want, they remain silent, not to solve problems, but to punish you, forcing you to concede and meet their demands. This behavior stems from an inability to face disagreements in a healthy way. Instead of engaging in open communication and cooperative problem-solving, they retreat into silence as a way to avoid responsibility. This is not constructive silence, but a manipulative and childish tactic. This silence is essentially anger disguised under a more subtle veneer. It reveals their inability to handle strong emotions or express their dissatisfaction maturely. They lack the skills to have an equal dialogue and seek consensus, instead using silence as a means of control, leaving you feeling abandoned, insecure, and pressured to act just to end the tension. As a result, you and the emotionally mature one in the relationship end up having to deal with the problem. You try to soothe the situation, reconnect and resolve the issue, while they stubbornly cling to their childish silent treatment. This not only exhausts you, but also creates a power imbalance in the relationship, where you bear more of the responsibility. Their silence is not a sign of strength, but a manifestation of weakness. It reflects an internal immaturity, a deep insecurity that makes them unable to face their own emotions or those of others. Understanding this is the first step to breaking free from the toxic cycle. You are not responsible for fixing their emotions, nor should you always be the one to make concessions to maintain peace. Instead, protect yourself by setting boundaries and refusing to engage in this manipulative and unfair game. The silent treatment is not merely an act of avoidance. It is a meticulously calculated tool used by narcissists to control and manipulate you. By creating emotional tension, They aim to unsettle you and push you into a state of self-doubt. This strategy preys on your need for reconciliation, your desire to maintain harmony, and your natural empathy. However, recognizing the true nature of this behavior, an emotional manipulation tactic, is the first step in reclaiming your power. To respond appropriately, resist the urge to seek their approval or attention. Instead, maintain your emotional boundaries, prioritize self-care, and focus on your own peace and growth. When necessary, communicate assertively, but do not let their silence dictate your actions or self-worth. By refusing to engage in this manipulative game, you strip them of their power and affirm your autonomy. Ultimately, overcoming the silent treatment is not just about confronting the narcissist. It's about rediscovering your inner strength and building a life grounded in respect, dignity, and self-love. While their silence may be hurtful, your response will stand as a powerful declaration that you are no longer a participant in their game. True victory lies in choosing peace over conflict and reclaiming control over your own happiness.